The bridge of the Zephyrian command ship Void's Edge hummed with quantum processors as Captain Vextar studied the holographic display. His 4 eyes tracked the third planet in this unremarkable system while his chitinous fingers danced across the control interface. Another primitive world, his tactical officer, Subcommander Krill, chittered dismissively. Electromagnetic signatures suggest they've barely achieved nuclear capability. Their vessels can't even leave their own star system effectively. Vextar's mandibles clicked in agreement. The Zephyrian Empire had conquered 17 star systems in the past century, each one falling within standard orbital cycles once their primitive defenses were neutralized. This yellow star system, designated Terra 3 by their scouts, appeared to follow the same pattern. Their population centers are scattered and undefended, Krill continued, manipulating the tactical display. No orbital defense platforms, no energy shields around their major cities. Their largest population centers are actually clustered near large bodies of water, tactically disadvantageous. The captain's secondary eyes focused on the readouts. The planet's inhabitants had achieved some level of industrialization, but their technology remained laughably primitive. No faster-than-light travel, no energy weapons, no gravitational manipulation. They still used chemical propulsion and kinetic weapons. Begin standard conquest protocols, Vextar ordered. Deploy reconnaissance drones for surface mapping. We'll identify their command structures and neutralize their leadership within 3 rotations. The crew responded with practiced efficiency. Dozens of stealth drones launched from the ship's belly, their quantum signatures masked as they descended toward the planet's atmosphere. The first phase of conquest always involved detailed intelligence gathering. Identifying power structures, military installations, and population centers. But as the drones penetrated the atmosphere and began their surface scans, something unexpected happened. The first drone's data stream suddenly cut out. Then the second. Within minutes, 17 of their 30 reconnaissance drones had gone silent. Technical malfunction? Vextar inquired, his voice maintaining the calm authority that had served him through countless campaigns. Krill's tentacles writhed in confusion as he studied the displays. Negative, Captain. The drones are being intercepted. Shot down by primitive kinetic weapons. Impossible. Their technology can't track our stealth signatures. The evidence suggests otherwise, sir. These humans appear to have detection capabilities we didn't anticipate. Vextar's eyes narrowed. In his experience, primitive species occasionally possessed 1 or 2 surprising defensive technologies, but they inevitably fell to superior firepower and tactics. Still, losing over half their reconnaissance drones was unusual. Launch the remaining drones at maximum stealth, wide dispersal pattern, and begin charging the primary weapons array. Sir, Krill hesitated. Perhaps we should conduct a more thorough analysis of their defensive capabilities before. Subcommander, Vextar's voice carried a warning edge. We are the apex predators of this galaxy. Whatever tricks these primitives possess, they will not save them from the might of the Zephyrian Empire. As the remaining drones descended toward Earth's surface, none of the aliens aboard the Void's Edge suspected that their casual dismissal of humanity was about to become the greatest tactical error in their species' history. The remaining reconnaissance drones penetrated Earth's atmosphere under heavy stealth protocols. Their quantum signatures dampened to near invisibility. What they transmitted back to the Void's Edge should have been routine intelligence data, population centers, military installations, resource deposits. Instead, the data streams painted a picture that made no sense. Subcommander Krill, Vextar's voice held uncertainty. Verify these readings. The surface scan data appears corrupted. Krill's tentacles danced across his console, running diagnostic routines. All systems functioning normally, Captain. The readings are accurate. Then explain why this primitive world is pockmarked with thousands of circular depressions, each several hundred meters in diameter. The tactical display showed Earth's surface in startling detail. Scattered across every continent were perfect circular craters, far too numerous and precisely formed to be natural meteor impacts. Some were filled with water, others with vegetation, but all bore the unmistakable signature of massive explosive events. Perhaps ancient asteroid impacts? Krill suggested weakly. Look at the distribution pattern, Vextar pointed to the holographic globe. These aren't random. They're clustered around former population centers. And look, he gestured to North America. The isotope signatures are consistent with nuclear detonation. The bridge fell silent. If these craters resulted from nuclear weapons, then the humans had detonated nuclear devices not in space, not on enemy worlds, but on their own planet. Thousands of them. Captain Dr. XTI spoke from her station. I've analyzed the geological layering around these impact sites. The detonations occurred over several decades, concentrated in the latter half of the 20th century by their calendar. They were testing weapons, Vextar realized. But the scale? They detonated enough nuclear devices to glass a dozen worlds. Sir, Krill's voice had lost its confidence. The energy signatures exceed the combined nuclear arsenal of the Kepler Federation, and the humans conducted these tests while still confined to their home planet. Dr. XTI's readings continued pouring in. Captain, there's more. Atmospheric analysis shows trace isotopes consistent with nuclear weapons testing in the atmosphere, underwater, and underground. They've detonated nuclear devices in every possible environment. Vextar stared at the display, his tactical mind racing. The Zephyrian Empire had conquered 17 star systems through superior technology and careful military strategy. They had never needed to detonate thousands of nuclear weapons for testing because their simulations and limited testing had been sufficient. How many? He asked quietly. Preliminary count suggests over 2,000 nuclear detonations, Dr. XTI reported. And Captain, these are just the ones we can detect from orbit. The humans may have conducted additional tests that left no lasting surface evidence. 2,000, Vextar repeated, his voice hollow. They detonated 2,000 nuclear weapons on their own planet for testing purposes. Sir, Krill ventured, perhaps we should reconsider our approach. A species that would irradiate their own homeworld thousands of times for weapon testing might be unpredictable. For the first time in his military career, Captain Vextar found himself staring at a planet and wondering not how to conquer it, but whether he truly understood what he was facing. The tactical displays showed a primitive species with crude technology, but the surface scans revealed something far more disturbing. Earth's surface told the story of a species that had literally bombed itself into the nuclear age, treating their own planet as a testing ground for weapons of mass destruction. The question that haunted Vextar was simple: what kind of species does that to their own home? And more importantly, what would they do to invaders? Dr. XTI's voice cut through the tense silence on the bridge. Captain, we're receiving data transmissions from the planet's surface. They appear to be historical records. Historical records? Vextar's 4 eyes focused on the science officer. Are they attempting to communicate? No, sir. These are routine educational broadcasts, entertainment signals, and data archives. The humans appear to be constantly transmitting information about their own history into space. Can you decode them? Already in progress, Captain. The translation matrices are concerning. The main display flickered to life, showing a documentary that had been broadcast from Earth decades earlier. The translation software worked in real time, converting human language into Zephyrian script. What they saw made the bridge crew fall silent. Images of massive explosions filled the screen. Entire cities vanishing in nuclear fire. Humans fighting humans with weapons that made the Zephyrian military arsenal look primitive. The documentary called it World War II and treated it as one of several such conflicts. They've had multiple planetary wars? Krill whispered. The documentary continued, showing weapons that defied belief. Humans had built bombs that could destroy entire cities with a single explosion. They had created chemical weapons that could kill millions. They had developed biological weapons that could end civilizations. But it was the statistics that truly stunned the alien crew. 70 million casualties, Vextar read from the translated display. In a single conflict. On their own planet. Sir, Dr. XTI's voice was strained. This is just one war. I'm detecting references to dozens of major conflicts, hundreds of smaller ones. The humans appear to have been in a state of near-constant warfare for their entire recorded history. More broadcasts flooded in. News reports about the Cold War, where 2 human factions had built enough nuclear weapons to destroy their planet multiple times over. Documentary footage of humans testing weapons in their own atmosphere, their own oceans, their own underground systems. They built 50,000 nuclear weapons, Krill read from another broadcast. 50,000. And they kept them pointed at each other for decades. They call it mutually assured destruction. Dr. XTI highlighted another transmission. They deliberately created a scenario where any major conflict would result in the complete annihilation of their species. Captain Vextar felt his tactical certainty crumbling. The Zephyrian Empire had conquered 17 star systems against civilizations that valued survival above all else. Species that could be intimidated, negotiated with, or defeated through superior technology. But the humans had spent centuries perfecting the art of killing each other on an industrial scale. They had weapons that could end civilizations, and they had pointed them at themselves for decades. They had conducted their weapons testing on their own planet, poisoning their own environment in pursuit of more effective ways to kill. Captain Krill's voice was barely a whisper. What kind of species does this to itself? The kind, Vextar replied slowly, that doesn't understand the concept of surrender. Another transmission showed human military doctrine. Combined arms tactics, asymmetric warfare, guerrilla fighting. The humans had spent millennia learning how to fight enemies that were more numerous, better equipped, and technologically superior. For the first time since beginning his military career, Captain Vextar wondered if there was a species that might be genuinely unconquerable. Not because they were technologically superior, but because they had spent thousands of years learning how to fight impossible odds. And they had learned those lessons by fighting each other. The data streams from Earth continued to pour in, each transmission more disturbing than the last. Captain Vextar stood transfixed before the main display as his crew decoded humanity's historical records, their entertainment media, and their educational broadcasts. Captain, Dr. Zexti's voice trembled. You need to see this. The display showed a human documentary about the Battle of Stalingrad. Vextar watched in growing horror as the translator described a single battle that had lasted over 5 months, with casualty figures that exceeded the entire population of some worlds the Zephyrians had conquered. 2 million casualties, he read aloud. In one city, in one battle. Sir, Krill added. The humans call this typical for their major conflicts. This wasn't even their largest battle. More transmissions flooded in. The humans had fought in frozen wastelands where temperatures dropped below survival levels. They had fought in jungles where disease killed more soldiers than enemy weapons. They had fought in deserts, mountains, swamps, and Arctic conditions that would kill most Zephyrian soldiers within hours. Look at this, Dr. Zexti highlighted another broadcast. The Siege of Leningrad. The humans surrounded one of their own cities and starved it for over 2 years. 1 million civilians died, but the city never surrendered. Never surrendered? Vextar's tactical mind struggled to process this. After 1 million deaths? The broadcast suggests this was normal behavior for humans under siege. They have dozens of similar examples throughout their history. The communications array continued intercepting human transmissions, each one revealing new horrors. The humans had fought wars in the air, underwater, in frozen mountains, and scorching deserts. They had developed weapons specifically designed to kill other humans as efficiently as possible. Captain, Krill announced, I'm detecting references to something called the Geneva Conventions. Apparently, the humans had to create international laws to regulate how they were allowed to kill each other. They had to create laws to limit their own warfare? Yes, sir. The broadcasts suggest that without these laws, their conflicts were becoming too effective. Dr. Zexti pulled up another transmission. Sir, this is disturbing. The humans developed total war doctrine. They deliberately targeted civilian populations, industrial centers, and agricultural systems. They were willing to starve entire populations to achieve victory. But surely they had limits, Vextar protested. Some line they wouldn't cross. Actually, sir, Dr. Zexti's voice was barely audible. The evidence suggests they had no limits at all. They developed weapons specifically designed to cause maximum suffering. Chemical weapons that would blind, burn, or suffocate. Biological weapons that would cause disease and death. They even developed weapons designed to cause radiation sickness. The bridge fell silent as another transmission came through. This one showed footage of human soldiers in what appeared to be the aftermath of a battle. The landscape was completely destroyed, every tree burned, every building reduced to rubble. The humans called it the Western Front and spoke of it as a routine military operation. They did this to their own planet? Krill whispered. Multiple times, Dr. Zexti confirmed. And they rebuilt afterward. Every time. Captain Vexstar felt his certainty crumbling. The Zephyrian Empire had conquered 17 star systems through superior technology and overwhelming force. But they had never faced a species that had spent thousands of years learning how to survive the complete destruction of their civilization. Sir, Krill announced, there's something else. The humans have something called military science. They've created entire academic disciplines dedicated to studying warfare. They have universities that teach nothing but military strategy, tactics, and weapons development. For the first time in his career, Captain Vexstar wondered if the Zephyrian Empire had encountered a species that might be genuinely dangerous. Not because they were technologically advanced, but because they had spent their entire existence learning how to fight impossible odds. The communications array aboard the Void's Edge crackled with new transmissions, but these weren't historical broadcasts. These were real-time military communications from Earth's surface, and the translation software was working overtime to decode them. Captain, Communications Officer Trell9 announced, we're intercepting what appears to be strategic military communications. The humans have detected our presence. Vexstar's mandibles clicked in annoyance. Impossible. Our stealth technology is centuries ahead of their primitive sensors. Sir, the evidence suggests otherwise. Listen to this. The main speakers filled with translated human voices, clear and professional. NORAD Command, this is Cheyenne Mountain. We have 17 unknown objects in low Earth orbit, electromagnetic signatures consistent with advanced propulsion systems. Initiating DEFCON 3. Confirmed, Cheyenne Mountain. All strategic missile commands are now at heightened readiness. Pentagon is initiating Scenario 7 protocols. Vexstar felt his confidence waver. Scenario 7? Dr. XTI worked frantically at her station. I'm cross-referencing their military databases, sir. Scenario 7 appears to be their protocol for first contact with hostile extraterrestrial forces. They have protocols for alien invasion? Multiple protocols, sir. They've been planning for this scenario for decades. The communications continued streaming in. All nuclear submarine commanders, this is Strategic Command. Go to full alert status. Unknown hostiles in orbit. Prepare for possible nuclear response authorization. Air Force Global Strike Command, all B-21 squadrons are now airborne. Stealth bombers are approaching maximum altitude for orbital target engagement. This is USS Gerald Ford. All carrier strike groups are assuming defensive positions. We have nuclear-capable aircraft ready for launch. Krill's tentacles writhed in confusion. Sir, how do they even know we're here? Our stealth systems should be undetectable to their primitive sensors. Maybe their sensors aren't as primitive as we assumed, Vexstar replied grimly. More transmissions flooded in, painting a terrifying picture. The humans hadn't just detected the Zephyrian ships, they had identified them as potential threats and responded with military precision that suggested extensive preparation. Captain, Dr. XTI's voice was strained. I'm detecting massive electromagnetic signatures from their surface. They're powering up weapons systems on a global scale. Weapons systems? Nuclear missile silos, sir. Hundreds of them. And they're all pointing toward our position. The tactical display updated in real time as Earth's military awakened. Nuclear submarines emerged from deep ocean trenches, their missile tubes preparing to launch. Strategic bombers climbed toward the edge of space, their bomb bays loaded with nuclear weapons. Ground-based missile systems across 6 continents swiveled toward the sky. How many nuclear weapons are they targeting at us? Vexstar asked. Preliminary count suggests over 3,000 warheads, sir. And they're still activating more systems. 3,000. More communications streamed in. All units, this is Supreme Allied Command. Unknown vessels have maintained orbital position for 6 hours. Intelligence suggests scanning operations in progress. Recommend immediate preemptive strike. Pentagon confirms all strategic nuclear forces are at maximum readiness. We have over 4,000 warheads targeted at orbital contacts. Awaiting authorization for Operation Burning Sky. Captain Vexstar felt his tactical certainty evaporate completely. The Zephyrian Empire had conquered 17 star systems, but they had done so against civilizations that needed time to mobilize, time to respond, time to coordinate their defenses. The humans had detected the alien presence within hours and responded with a coordinated global military response that suggested decades of preparation. They hadn't just planned for alien invasion, they had prepared for it with the same methodical precision they had used to plan their wars against each other. Sir, Dr. ZXTI announced, I'm detecting something else. The humans have activated what they call dead man's switches on their nuclear arsenal. If their command structure is destroyed, the weapons will automatically launch. For the first time in his military career, Captain Vextar wondered if the Zephyrian Empire had made a catastrophic error in judgment. The humans weren't primitive. They were prepared. The bridge of the void's edge hummed with tense energy as more intelligence flowed in from the intercepted communications. Captain Vextar watched his tactical displays with growing unease as the true scope of humanity's military preparedness became clear. Captain, Dr. ZXTI announced, we're receiving new data from our remaining surface drones. The humans have been building underground installations for decades. Military bunkers, command centers, weapons storage facilities. They've literally moved their entire strategic infrastructure underground. Underground? Yes, sir. The surface installations we identified earlier appear to be decoys. Their real military infrastructure is buried beneath hundreds of meters of rock and concrete. Krill manipulated the tactical display showing cross-sections of Earth's surface. Sir, the humans have built what they call hardened underground bunkers designed to survive direct nuclear attack. They've essentially created a parallel civilization beneath the surface. They built a parallel civilization? For military purposes, yes. They've spent decades assuming that any major conflict would result in the complete destruction of their surface infrastructure, so they built backup systems underground. The implications were staggering. The Zephyrian Empire had conquered other worlds by targeting leadership centers, communication hubs, and military installations. But the humans had anticipated this strategy and built their critical infrastructure to survive complete surface destruction. Captain, Communications Officer Trell9 interrupted, we're intercepting new communications. The humans are activating something called continuity of government protocols. Continuity of government? They're moving their leadership to underground bunkers and transferring command authority to hardened installations. Even if we destroy their surface governments, their military command structure will remain intact. Dr. ZXTI pulled up more data. Sir, it's worse than that. The humans have built what they call redundant command systems. Every major military decision can be made from multiple locations. Destroying their primary leadership won't disable their ability to coordinate military responses. They've made their leadership redundant? Yes, sir. They've spent decades preparing for scenarios where their government is destroyed, their cities are eliminated, and their surface infrastructure is completely gone. And they've built systems to continue fighting even under those conditions. More intercepted communications revealed the depth of human preparation. All underground facilities are now at full operational status. Strategic Missile Command has been transferred to Bunker 7. All surface installations are considered expendable. Confirmed, Bunker 7. We have full nuclear launch capability from underground facilities. Surface destruction will not affect our ability to respond. This is Deep 6 Command. All strategic submarines are at launch depth. We can maintain nuclear deterrent capability even if all surface and underground facilities are destroyed. Vextar felt his tactical confidence crumbling. They've prepared for the complete destruction of their civilization? Sir, Krill's voice was barely audible. It appears they've prepared for multiple scenarios of complete destruction. They call it nuclear warfare doctrine. And they've spent decades developing strategies for fighting and winning wars that result in the complete annihilation of their surface civilization. Fighting and winning wars after their civilization is destroyed? Yes, sir. They've built weapon systems that can operate independently, command structures that can function after leadership is eliminated, and military doctrine that assumes their homeworld will be completely destroyed during any major conflict. Dr. ZXTI highlighted another disturbing development. Captain, I'm detecting activation of what they call sleeper cells around the planet. Small groups of humans with military training and equipment designed to operate independently if their main military is destroyed. Sleeper cells? Resistance fighters, sir. They've pre-positioned military personnel and equipment around the planet to continue fighting even if their organized military is completely eliminated. The tactical display updated again, showing hundreds of small groups of humans activating around the planet. Each group was equipped with weapons and communication equipment, each group trained to operate independently, each group prepared to continue fighting even if every other human military unit was destroyed. They've prepared for guerrilla warfare, Vextar realized. On a planetary scale, Sir, Krill added, the humans have extensive experience with guerrilla warfare. Their historical records show numerous conflicts where small groups of fighters defeated much larger, technologically superior forces. And they've applied that experience to alien invasion? They've applied it to every conceivable scenario, sir. The humans have spent decades preparing for military conflicts that would completely destroy their civilization, and they've built systems to continue fighting even under those conditions. More communication streamed in. All resistance cells are now active. We have confirmed contact with Underground Command. Even if surface infrastructure is eliminated, we can maintain coordinated resistance operations for years. Confirmed, Resistance Command. We have stockpiled weapons and supplies for extended operations. Enemy occupation forces will face continuous guerrilla warfare. Captain Vextar stared at the displays showing Earth's military preparations. The humans hadn't just prepared for alien invasion, they had prepared for the complete destruction of their civilization, and they had built systems to continue fighting even after that destruction. Sir, Dr. Zexti's voice was strained. I don't think we're dealing with a primitive species. I think we're dealing with a species that has spent decades preparing for the end of the world. Preparing for the end of the world? And preparing to keep fighting after it ends. For the first time in his career, Captain Vextar wondered if the Zephyrian Empire had encountered a species that might be genuinely unconquerable. Not because they couldn't be defeated, but because they had spent decades learning how to keep fighting after they were defeated. The humans had turned warfare into a science, and they had spent that science preparing for impossible odds. Captain Vextar stood in the center of his bridge, surrounded by tactical displays that painted a picture he had never encountered in his military career. The Void's Edge and its escort ships hung in Earth's orbit, their weapons powered but unused, their crews waiting for orders that their captain was no longer certain he could give. Status report, he commanded. Sir, Krill's voice was tight with anxiety. Human nuclear forces remain at maximum readiness. We're tracking over 4,000 nuclear warheads targeted at our position. They've maintained this readiness level for 18 hours without any sign of fatigue. 18 hours at maximum alert? Yes, sir. Most civilizations we've encountered can only maintain peak military readiness for a few hours before their systems begin to fail. The humans appear to be treating this as routine. Dr. Zexti added her own disturbing intelligence. Captain, we've intercepted communications suggesting the humans are prepared to maintain this alert level for weeks if necessary. They call it extended deterrence posture, and they've apparently practiced it during their own conflicts. Vextar studied the tactical displays showing Earth's bristling defenses. Every few minutes, new weapons systems came online. Mobile missile launchers emerged from hidden positions. Strategic bombers rotated in and out of attack positions. Nuclear submarines repositioned themselves for optimal firing solutions. Sir, Communications Officer Trell9 announced, we're receiving a transmission from the planet's surface. It's addressed to us. They're communicating with us directly? Yes, sir. The transmission is in their primary language, but they're using mathematical constants to establish communication protocols. They want to talk. Put it through. The main speaker's filled with a calm, professional human voice. Unknown vessels in Earth orbit, this is the United Nations Security Council. We are aware of your presence, and we have prepared appropriate responses to any hostile action. We invite you to establish formal communication protocols. Please respond on this frequency. The bridge fell silent. In 17 conquered star systems, the Zephyrian Empire had never received a formal invitation to communicate from a planet they were preparing to invade. Sir, Dr. Zexti said quietly, they're not behaving like a primitive species under threat. They're behaving like equals. They've detected our presence, analyzed our capabilities, prepared comprehensive military responses, and now they're attempting to establish diplomatic communication. This is exactly how the Kepler Federation responded when we first encountered them. The Kepler Federation had been a technological equal to the Zephyrian Empire with military capabilities that made conquest impossible. The two civilizations had established diplomatic relations and maintained peaceful coexistence for centuries.